This week is all about circles. So let's just put circles as our title for now. You might want to find yourself some kind of circular object to draw around, or use a pair of compasses, I don't mind. But we're going to have to draw a few circles during these videos this week. So perhaps just have a circle to hand that you could use. I'm going to start actually by drawing a circle so we can label a few bits and bobs. So I'm going to draw. Now, I've never put a pen in a pair of compasses before until today, but I didn't think you'd be able to see pencil. Right, and where was my centre? There. Okay, so draw a circle. Now, you might want to draw around something, maybe like a mug or something. Anyway, draw a circle. There's a few words that we need to label. So, draw me a line from the centre of your circle to the edge of your circle, like that. That line is what we call the radius. And you need to know that. So here's the radius. And then we also need a diameter. Now, a diameter goes all the way from one side to the other side of your circle through the centre. And that's what we call the diameter. So we've got the radius and we've got the diameter. And then we've also got the edge of the circle. So for every other shape, we would call it the perimeter. Like, yeah, the edge of the circle. Now, circles get a special name. So the edge of the circle, kind of like the perimeter of the circle, is what we call the circumference. That's quite a long word. There we go. So we've got the radius, the diameter, and the circumference goes all the way around the outside. Okay. Also for this section, we're going to need to have a calculator to hand. Ideally, it would be a scientific calculator. Right, so you also need your calculator, ideally a scientific calculator. We're going to be using that. If you don't have a scientific calculator, you'll still be able to do all the work. So we probably want now to write a note about what we're going to be doing with this calculator. So we're going to be using this letter. Now, it's a Greek letter and it's called pi. Okay, now we're going to be using that a lot. So draw kind of a straight line and then two little lines down. And if you look on your calculator, there is a pi and it's yellow and it's above the times 10 button. Okay, so on the calculator, we're going to write down the buttons that you would need to press to get the pi. So the first button that you would need to press is shift, which is up here in the top left corner. So you'll press the shift button and then you'll press the button that says times 10 with an X. And that's going to give you a little pi on the screen. Okay, so if I press shift, I get a little S in the top corner, and then I press the times 10. I've now got a pi on my calculator screen. If I press equals, I still just have a pi. This is where we press the SD button. You know when you're doing fractions and stuff and you get an answer that you don't like? If you press the SD button, you'll get that pi equals 3.141592654, and that number goes on forever and ever and ever. And there are actually pi remembering competitions. So if you're really bored, you can see how many digits of pi you can remember. And it goes on forever. People remember thousands of numbers. So if you get really bored, there's always pi remembering. Right, so just kind of bank that thought. We're going to need that in a second. Okay, so for every circle that we get, we're going to write down what the radius is and we're going to write down what the diameter is. Okay, so make yourself a new little title. I'm going to turn over. Make yourself a new little title and let's start with trying to work out the circumference, like the perimeter of the circle. So we're going to start with circumference. So this is just a posh word for perimeter. You might even want to write that. It means perimeter of circle. I don't know why circles are the only shape that have a different word for perimeter. So you need another circle, ideally. I shall attempt. I don't like using a pair of compasses under pressure, but I'm going to try another circle. And we're going to try then and work out the circumference of this circle. So like the length of the outside. Hopefully you can appreciate that it's quite tricky. It would be quite tricky to measure it. Yeah? You could, I guess, like lie a piece of string around, but that's going to be, it's going to be a bit difficult. So, let's mark on, let's say that our radius is 5 metres. So draw me a circle. I'm to pause, grab a mug or something. Draw me a circle and let's label the radius is 5 metres. What I want you to do, next to every circle that you deal with, I want you to write R equals D equals. You're going to do that next to every question you ever answer to do with circles. Okay? Now, what have we got in this case? Are we dealing with the radius or the diameter? So just look back at your picture. The radius is the short one. Now, radius is a shorter word and it's a shorter length. Diameter is a longer word and a longer length. So they do kind of make sense. So we've got the radius. So let's put the radius is 5. To get halfway from the edge to the middle is 5. And the diameter has to go all the way. So the diameter is always twice the radius. You might want to write that down. You times the radius by 2 to get the diameter, which makes sense. The radius goes from the edge to the middle, which is half of the edge to the other edge. So it does kind of make sense. Right. Now, this is the formula that we need to remember. So let's write this and then probably put a bubble around it. C, so that's standing for circumference. Short, catchy word. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Okay, now that you'll use, if you have £1, for every time you use that between now and your GCSE, you'll be rich. Circumference equals pi times diameter. So let's have a look at this question then. So I've got that diameter is 10. I've already worked that out. So circumference equals pi times diameter, which is pi times 10. Right, now this is very much a calculator exercise. If you don't have a calculator, instead of pi, you're going to type in 3.14 to your calculator. So if you don't have a calculator, you're going to type in 3.14 times 10. We're going to use the pi button though. So I'm going to press shift times 10. So I've now got a pi and I'm going to put times 10. It'll probably give me a silly answer to start with. Then I press the SD button. There we go. 31 point. Now, I want 1 decimal place. So I look at his neighbour, it's a 1, so I don't need to round up the 4. So 31.4. Now, don't forget your units. We're working with area, so it's metres squared. No, we're not doing area. We're doing circumference. Ignore that. That was terrible. Ignore that. We're doing circumference, which is like perimeter. And perimeter is just a length, like when we did the triangles, whereas our perimeter of the rectangle, look. So the perimeter of the rectangle, we added up all the lengths and we just got metres. So the circumference of a circle is just going to be in metres. That all went very wrong very quickly, didn't it? Right, never mind. Let's move on. At least I'm proving that I'm trying to do this kind of live, like a lesson. I'm not editing for hours and hours. So you see me make mistakes. So there we go, metres. Right, so this is step 1. You write your radius and your diameter. Step 2, you write down the formula. Step 3, you put your numbers into the formula. So we'll always have a pi and then we times it by the diameter. Notice that in the question I was given the radius. but I need to use the diameter. So just remember to write R equals and D equals, and then you need to decide which one to use. We'll do one more, and then I'll let you get on with some questions. Let's see if I can go all the way through this without saying something wrong. So I'm going to try and draw another circle. What's the chance of that going right, eh? Let's have a look. Oh dear. Oh no, got away with it. Got away with it. Right, so there's my circle. And where's the centre? There he is. Right, this time I'm going to draw this line, and I'm going to say that that is 1.5 centimetres. So that would be a very, very small circle, but 1.5 centimetres. So R equals D equals. Right, what have they given me? Well, it's a long length, so it's the long word, so it's the diameter. Diameter is all the way across. Right, now in order to get the radius, I would need to half it. What's 1.5 divided by 2? Maybe think of 15 divided by 2. That would be 7.5. So that would be 0.75. Right, so let's have a look. So C equals pi times D. We always write that. So that was step 1. Step 2, we write the formula. And then step 3, we put in our D. What's our D? 1.5. So if you don't have a calculator with a pi button, you're typing in 3.14 times 1.5. We're going to type in pi times 1.5. What do we get? Press the button. There we go. 4 point. And let's give all our answers to one decimal place. So look at the 7. His neighbour is a 1, so I don't need to round up the 7. And what unit am I in? Centimetres. And it's like perimeter, so it's just the length. 4.7 centimetres. Okay? Right, I'd like you to try worksheet 1 now to practice circumference. Okay? Super duper, well done.